This channel's been going for over 2 years. It's doing pretty well. We even won a few awards, haven't we, at various ceremonies. And yet, with the advertising industry, we still have a problem. An outfit called the Conscious Advertising Network, plus other lobby groups like Stop Funding Hate, say they want to stop harmful content, and therefore they go for the advertisers. Well, Richard Hillgrove is chairman and founder of 6HillgrovePR and a former advisor to the advertising guru, Charles Saatchi. I've been talking about the politicisation of banks, Richard, but it seems the advertising industry, it's extraordinary.
Wow.
I mean, how is anything that GB News puts out hateful?
Well, it's just all about money, isn't it? And they're obviously trying to crush society. And obviously the tipping point was what they did with you, with your bank. And now I think the spotlight is on what's happening with advertising as well. I think this conscious advertising network, Lee Anderson is rooting out the culprits and said to the culture secretary, what are they doing advising government and what are they doing? But I mean, it's on this side, the legislators, but also we have the other side, the advertisers. That's the problem. They're under pressure because of this ESG business. If they don't start forming their advertising around certain messaging, then, they won't be allowed loans. They'll have their bank accounts removed as well.
There are 4 or 5 big advertising agencies, but they seem to go along with this agenda as well. It's almost as if it's a sort of little London-based clique that decide what's acceptable and what's not.
Well, it seems to be a kind of global thing, and it seems to be happening all at once, everywhere. So this is all part of this whole sort of, let's all be in it together, let's all follow this sort of globalist agenda. And I think London is just following orders to a certain degree. But I think I have to say it again, what happened to you has woken people up on both sides of the political spectrum. I mean, people even on the left are saying, what is going on? And up till then, everyone's in a bit of a stupor. Everyone's sort of numb to what's going on. And now people are starting to realise, and they're starting to look at, OK, advertising is one example. There's a multitude of examples, because every instrument of society has been getting got at now. We're talking about 15-minute cities, the whole works. Everything is moving. But they say, they always say life imitates art, and if advertising is art, and all we see is this ludicrous nonsense on the screens, people start to believe this is the way our society functions. Advertising, they are kind of in a straitjacket because their paymasters are forcing them to behave in a certain way.
Yeah, and the problem is the mob, isn't it? Because, if I'm, Sunshine Holidays, let's say, and I put an advert on this station or another station that the mob don't approve of, and I'm the marketing director, and the next day, the mob send me 150,000 emails. I think, oh, my goodness, no one's ever going to use our... I mean, these are bullying tactics that are being used.
They're totally bullying, and it's ironic that the left-wing faction that claims to be pro-free speech are the most militant at shutting down free speech. That's the irony of the whole thing. I mean, in my time, I have worked on both sides of the political spectrum. I've worked with Vivienne Westwood when she was alive. And all of that messaging, you could talk about where the money came from. You mentioned it earlier, for some of that campaigning, and I've moved away from that now, and I'm guilty. But this mob behaviour is quite anti-democratic, and what I started doing at one point was when I did some PR for Julian Assange for a couple of years, contracted, and it was routed through money from the Westwood side of things. And suddenly I was being asked to shut down the Ministry of Justice. Yeah. And I was thinking, this isn't doing PR. You're asking me to follow a mob. And that's when I walked away. I said, this is too much. What's going on here?
Can we turn the tide?
I think we can, but only because of people like yourself and GB News and what's being said. I have to be careful. A lot of my clients are from the other side. It's such a shame. There's those that want to restrict and those that want to be free.
I know. Richard, thank you for joining us and